step in the room, I set the vibe. Mic in my hand, I let it ride.
Welcome back to another episode of the Speak Like the Boss podcast. I'm Anthony. This is Chase. What do we have going on this week?
So, found the follow up for the man versus bear question. Except you asked dudes, okay?
Okay.
So,
Following now. Yep.
who would you rather share your feelings with? A woman or a tree?
A woman or a tree? Well, either way, they're going to leaf.
Ah, see, that's you
bad
see,
jokes.
the tree is not going to judge me, okay? And the tree is not going to sit there and feel sorry for me. So I'm going with the tree.
I see.
The tree is not going to pull it out 6 months later when we're in a fight or having an argument and try to.
I can't
cut
get the
me
tree
with it.
pregnant.
Yeah, you can't get the tree pregnant. The tree can't leave you.
It's not going to argue with me.
Yeah,
No.
it's not gonna divorce you and take all your money.
No. It's not going to have stupid comments on TikTok.
Nope.
It's
So-
irritating.
Here's another one.
Sure.
So you always see these videos of these women being like, "Would you rather have one night with me or one night with us?"
I have seen
or
that.
$1,000, whatever stupid shit. So these chicks, they had this good ass looking sandwich in their hands, and the chicks weren't bad looking. They were average. We'll say like 5s and 6s.
Okay.
What would you rather have, one night with us or a year supply of these sandwiches? Well, they look like a barbecue sandwich. So this dude cuts in and he goes, "You know what? I can go to Buc-ee's and get a barbecue sandwich for $11. Let's say a year supply, we're talking 3 meals a day, right? That's $33 times 365, which is just over $12K.
It ain't going to
A
cost that much
year.
for a night with them.
Yeah, he's like, a night with y'all at best is worth $80.
Damn.
He's like, on a good day.
Yeah, that's one way.
So it's like, and I'm like, you know what? This is funny. But I mean, he's just logically laying out why 99% of dudes, I shouldn't say that. There's a lot of Sims out there. Why a good chunk of dudes are picking that sandwich.
Oh, yeah.
I'm picking that sandwich. That sandwich had my mouth
If a
watering.
girl's some sort of internet celebrity and then asking that kind of question, you know that they are either tricking or they're not really interested anyway. So it's just going to make you look bad if you answer the other way.
Yeah, they're just
You know
looking
what
for
I mean?
clicks, right?
Right. So
Attention.
It's almost irrelevant.
Yeah. I thought that was funny.
I was thinking about your dating profile this week.
Yeah, I'm gonna take some new pictures next week when I'm on vacation.
I thought of something that I don't think that any dating app is useful unless you're willing to lower standards as a man, because the most attractive girls aren't going to be on them. They have 100 people in their inbox in the DMs anyway. They're not going to bother going on a dating website.
Well,
Does that make sense?
maybe.
Like I said, like
But
the
I
rare
see-
0.0000.
Well, sure, but
maybe, right?
one, I'm not looking for that anyway, and two,
Right.
I would say most guys aren't looking for that actually.
Yeah.
And two, there's a lot of good look. I'm like, damn, what's she doing on here? She must be crazy,
Oh,
you know, shit like that.
Was she just promoting her OnlyFans or something?
Yeah.
Through it, right? It's not
Yeah.
like she's actually on there for dating purposes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just something that I thought about this week. I was like, man, it's probably going to be all the girls that are either using it for other purposes or just like kind of mid or coming with a ton of baggage.
Yeah, mid
They
is
might
not
be
the
good
word.
looking, but they might be
Yeah. If they are mid,
for
there's
kids.
yeah. If they're mid, they're 30, and they like are still figuring it out, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Or they're just on there looking for hookups, or like you said, they come with some kind of baggage. They got kids.
Right,
they live out in the middle of nowhere. It's just, a girl matched with me, and she's actually like really attractive, my type and everything.
Okay.
But I have my thing filtered to like I have it filtered to like 40 miles.
Mm.
And so, but when she was on it, she was like, I remember specifically because I was like, damn. I was like, let's see if this one matches.
Right.
She was she was like around 20 miles away. Even if she was 40 miles away, no big deal. After I went and rechecked her profile, it was saying she was like 200 something miles away. I'm like, hell no.
Right.
Like that's just unreasonably far. Like,
Yeah.
why would you work that hard for something like that?
No, that is way. Yeah, it's way too far. That's way too far.
She was attractive,
yeah.
and she even said something first. Well, she didn't say anything first. She just put like the little hand wave emoji, but still,
you ain't doing anything else. Entertain it. And I'm not saying go out there. I'm just saying talk to her. You know what I mean?
maybe
There's no
we'll see.
need to not talk just because they're far away. Maybe their profile's wrong. Maybe they're moving to Houston.
Oh, well,
and they're just changing their profile later on down the road.
I guess, yeah, you got a point.
You know what I mean? Or visiting or something. I don't know.
But I mean, I am going to the beach in a couple of weeks, and I plan on exercising some options if they're available.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens.
Might as well try.
It's way better in person anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not in beach shape yet, but I mean, when we're out and eating or like, going out to drink, well, I won't be drinking, but everybody else will. Doing shit like that,
Right.
So I don't know. See what happens.
That is true. Shall we jump into it?
Yeah, let's get started.
I'm going to just rearrange it just slightly. I want to take that first topic that we're going to have and just do it as the last one.
Okay.
But everything else we'll kind of just jump into. Let's jump into, let's start where we left off last week. Let's start with those two.
Okay.
We'll start with those two.
So ease into it.
Yeah. So two of the questions that we received last week that we didn't get to. The first one being, should people date if they're struggling with mental illness? What are your thoughts on that?
If we're talking about like actual mental illnesses, not just like, oh, I'm depressed kind of thing.
Like schizophrenia.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No, you should not. I understand wanting to be with people, and it's not really PC and it sounds kind of cold.
Yeah.
But one, you are almost forcing some. Well, I guess you're not forcing them because they don't have to be in a relationship with you. But it's an unreasonable expectation to want somebody or expect somebody to put up with that, right?
Okay.
And then two, inevitably, most relationships, long-term relationships, I guess you can't say most these days, and in children, but the idea if you're going to be with somebody long-term, hopefully is to have kids, right?
Sure. Yep.
That's one of the few situations where I would be like, that's one of the few situations where I would be like, hey, you probably shouldn't be having kids. That might not be probably wrong to say, but
yeah. No, it makes sense. I mean, it's, I agree with what you're saying. If you have a severe mental illness, you're either already medicated or you're trying to, I'm not saying you can't find love, but I'm saying it's going to be very, very, very difficult if you don't find somebody who's very understanding of what your chemical imbalance is or has something else that they're going through. It's kind of similar with like having kids in a relationship. If a woman or a man has kids first, you're more likely to understand each other if you find somebody else who's also in that situation. It's kind of like that with mental illness too, I think.
But even then, like, she's got BPD and I have schizophrenia.
Yeah, somebody's gonna just
burn the house down.
Yeah, gonna drop a freaking microwave in the bathtub or something, toaster oven.
I don't know if I've talked to you about this, but so I used to work in trauma a lot when I worked in the hospital, and I was trying to get into med school through that program and everything.
Sure.
Without getting into too many details.
Yep.
I loved working in trauma because you would always see on the diagnosis, it would say like fall from building or GSW, gunshot wound.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you see fall from building. That doesn't mean they fell. It means they jumped.
The actual fall from building.
They jumped. So, and I worked with people who would come in there and they'd be like, I would never ask, but there would always be somebody in there. So why'd you do it? Straight up ask them. This one dude, fall from building. This one dude, he said that he literally named off all of the 10 voices in his head, the 10 people in his head, and said they told him to jump.
They had names.
Yes, they all had
individual personalities and everything.
Yes, and if you prompted him, he would talk about them as if he were like talking about his friend group.
Interesting.
Like
so they were real to him.
Oh, they
And for how long he was dealing with them or whatever, right?
Oh, he knew it. He knew it was a problem, and he could articulate that he was he had I guess it was clinically multiple personality disorder, not schizophrenia. But it's as if I'm talking to my family about you or something, or vice versa. Like it was weird. It was
They came to his birthday party.
Yeah. He would be like, "Shut up, so and so." Crazy people. I actually felt bad for that guy.
Yeah, I mean that sucks, right? Because if you're that guy and you're trying to date, odds are you're not going to find somebody unless they're just feel bad for you and they're dating you for that purpose. But otherwise, or you're getting some sort of crazy insurance claim, or you're getting some kind of disability benefits that somebody's trying to leech onto, or something like that, right? You may find somebody willing to date you for those reasons. But for the most part, I think dating is very difficult if you have a severe mental illness, if you're dealing with something basic like depression or whatever.
Well,
you're probably in the majority versus the minority in that one.
I will caveat that. If you're to the point to where you're like self-deletion levels of bad, like it'll say GSW. Yeah. And I felt so stupid because I walked in on this kid one time and I was like, man, what happened? Because it said GSW, but I hadn't looked at the diagnosis, but his face was all messed up.
Right.
And I was like, man, what happened? And he goes, I accidentally shot myself in the face with a shotgun. And he was like, I said it a lot quicker than he did. He kind of stumbled through it a little bit. And I immediately looked down at the thing and it said GSW. And I was like, oh my God, this kid tried to off himself. And I literally just like made him relive that in front of his parents. And like, I felt so bad at I felt bad at the moment. But, I was trying to joke with the kid and everything and keep it light. But like, if you're like that kind of bad depression, then, that's different.
That's real.
Yeah. But not just like, oh, I don't feel good.
I think a lot of the people that are just on the meds themselves are not actually fully clinically depressed. I think they're more just looking to be a part of the clan or the group or of depressed people and be on the medications and get some sympathy.
I would say that, to use a buzzword, a lot of parents and what are they, psychologists, psychiatrists, whichever one. I always mix up the two.
Yeah.
They gaslight a lot of people into thinking, oh, you have depression. It's like, no, life is hard and you're going through a rough patch, but like, you got to pick yourself up to get through it.
Right. No, for sure. That jumps into kind of the second one, which is self-love really a prerequisite for healthy relationships?
Is self-love
a prerequisite for healthy relationships? So do you have to love yourself first before you can be in a healthy relationship?
I guess it depends on how you define that, right? Because I mean, a lot of people will say self-love is like, you do things for yourself, you give yourself like, words of affirmation, shit like that.
Yep.
I, surprise, in a lot of my relationships, I end up being the more negative one kind of at first, but the more like, you open up to the person and, you have a good time and they're a good person and they make me feel better. Right. Or just, I guess that being with a positive person can be contagious, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
So I would say, I would caveat it by saying, I guess it depends on exactly what you're saying by self-love, but sure. I don't think you have to be necessarily in the best headspace if that's what they're getting at to be in a healthy relationship. I think being with a good person can kind of help get you there.
That's kind of where I was thinking with what you were saying. Based on that, there's a lot of people. I'm not going to speak for women in this instance. I'm going to say for men. A lot of the things that cause them to be in a bad headspace is not being around women, or at least positive women. You know what I mean? Or at least sexually and romantically and that kind of stuff. Not being able to garner the attention of women.
Yeah,
that's the better way to put it, right? So those kind of things can definitely negatively impact the man's headspace for sure. So I think to try and fix that before you're getting into a relationship, you could, because I mean, prior to being in a relationship, you're garnering attention.
Yeah.
right? So it's kind of a step-by-step process. With that being said, I think you need to get out there and fix yourself if that is where you're going. And as we were piggybacking on the previous topic, if you're in the self-deletion mindset and that's the reason, then I highly, highly encourage whoever that is that would listen to this to get your ass up and start to fix that. It's not impossible. It's very difficult, but it's not impossible. And if you're ever in that mindset or feel that way, obviously reach out to us, reach out to somebody that you do trust, and we can definitely help with that. But small things like that, nothing that's game breaking or profound that I'm going to tell you that you don't already know, I'm sure.
I will say, just in case anyone happens to see this and misunderstand exactly what we're saying.
Yeah.
I'm not one to gas myself up. I'm not one to, I'm very, people call me a pessimist. I'm very much a realist. I look at things for what they are. I don't care if if someone asks me for the truth, most of the time I'm going to give it to them, even if I know it's going to upset them or, it might kind of almost, I don't want to say bring the room down, but for lack of a better way to put it, bring the room down. Right.
Sure.
And I'm like that with myself too. Like, it's just, it doesn't matter. Like, I do not care how it makes me feel. It's like, let's just go with the truth, analyze it objectively, and then move on from there. Right.
This is a side note, but kind of talks about what you're kind of talking about. I know we've talked about Myron and the Fresh and Fit podcast a little bit on here before, but you know how we've talked about in the past about how he's the guy that says things that helps other guys get laid, and he takes all the hate and it negatively impacts his dating world.
Yeah.
Right. I think this podcast can also potentially do the same for us. And obviously that's going to affect you more than it's going to affect me.
I mean,
you know what I mean? Just to bear in mind, if this thing continues to grow, at some point you're going to have a reputation of that guy who says these things and there's clips of, and it may impact the potential suitors and daters and things of that nature.
Well, so that doesn't bother me, right? That kind of, it might be, to the last point you just made about, potentially warding off, the
wrong ones, maybe.
Yeah, it's almost like a filter, right?
That's true.
I'm doing the work ahead of time.
That's true.
To kind of land the plane on what I was getting at.
Yeah.
If you're that kind of person, that doesn't mean it doesn't necessarily mean you're negative. It doesn't mean, you have no self-love. It just means that you're probably just a realist, and you have to look for a woman that can appreciate that, right? Obviously, you got to pick and choose a lot of the times on how you say things or what you say if you want to keep her around or you want to keep the peace kind of thing. But I mean, for the most part, that doesn't mean that you can't find somebody or you can't be happy with somebody. It just means that you're more grounded in reality.
Right. I will say, to kind of answer the question from the women's perspective as well, self-love is a prerequisite for healthy relationships. If you're a woman that does not love yourself or has a disdain for men, like some people in our comments, I think that is a prerequisite for you. I think they're, in a way, if your self-hatred is because of your appearance or your beauty, don't let that stop you.
Right.
Because a man is going to take you regardless. Somebody will, right? Be accepting of you. So don't let that hold you back as a woman. If what's holding you back is your attitude, and that is what's causing the negative impacts in your life, then that is definitely a prerequisite to be able to find a healthy relationship. Because if you bring that same energy into the relationship, you will drive that man away very quickly.
Yeah, I agree.
So just a little bit of advice. I'm sure nobody will fucking listen to it like they never do, and they'll tell me I'm an asshole. But
you're wrong.
I'm just wrong.
You're wrong. Y'all are old.
We're old.
It should be illegal for bald guys to have microphones.
Some of the comments we get this week, man, I tell you.
It's hilarious. I eat it up, honestly. Like, it does not bother me.
It's crazy. Let's just get into this spicy shit. We're already here. Let's address the hate. And we'll get right into it and just...
Well, alrighty then.
Do you want to roll into defining independent woman before I go nuts?
I will do it because I'm about to go off.
Okay.
Okay. So
I'm gonna put this camera on you. You get
Okay.
all the fun. Both
So,
cameras. Please look
yeah.
at both. The clips will be there. So talk to them.
so let's get something
I'm gonna
straight.
sit back
Okay.
and listen.
People have taken the word independent and they've applied a different definition in a social aspect, right? That's what all these idiotic people are talking about. Oh, but me and my independent girlfriend go out all the time and it's blah, or she's my independent woman spoils me, or blah, this kind of I'm independent and I still want to be in a relationship, all this bullshit.
My boyfriend loves how independent I am.
Yeah, my boyfriend loves how independent I am. Okay, so that doesn't make your definition correct. Okay, first off, they mean is that a woman makes money, which welcome to being a fucking adult. Everyone has to make their own money. Okay, just like the word racism, has a different meaning socially than what the actual scientific definition is. Okay, we are all part of the human race. There is one human race. We all come from different ethnic groups. And yet the word racism is the one that's stuck because of uneducated people, right?
Mhm.
They're using independent in the same way, okay? It just, they say one thing and they think this is what it means, but it's not actually what it means, okay? So let's get into some definitions, okay?
I was gonna say the definition of independent. You have that?
So I have a few.
Okay, let's hear them.
Free from influence, guidance, or control of another or others, i.e. self-reliant. Okay.
Hold on. Now let's break that down real quick before we jump into all these. Free from guidance and what was the other part?
Free from the influence
Influence
guidance,
and
or
guidance.
control of others, or self-reliant.
See, that I can almost see how they can defend their point of being independent because they're not under the guidance of their boyfriend or man.
Okay, so let me get into that then.
Right. Let's dabble
talk
in that
about
world first, real
Let's,
quick.
let's talk about that. Okay.
Oh
So-
Jesus.
If you're in a relationship, right, the decisions you make are directly influenced by how it's going to affect your partner.
At least they should be.
It should be in a good relationship. Yeah, someone who's in a good headspace,
Healthy
in a
relationship that's not
yes.
just running over their partner.
You don't have to tell your woman not to wear that skimpy outfit or to go in, or like to entertain dudes when you're out. She's just going to do that because she knows it's going to make you feel some kind of way.
That's right.
Right? Like
It's respect.
So right, exactly.
Yep.
Just like you're not going to go online and start subscribing into OnlyFans and talking to these chicks, right? It's unspoken. She doesn't need to tell you that that's not okay because you can understand how it's going to make her feel.
Right.
And because it's going to make her feel a certain way, you choose to not do it.
Right.
Okay. Things that you do. Let's say you wake up one day, like your girl, she takes care of all the housework, whatever. She normally cooks, cleans. You get up, you cook her breakfast because you know yes, you need to eat too, right? But you are doing that specifically because you care about her and you know it's going to make her feel a certain way and it's going to make her feel wanted. She doesn't have to tell you. She doesn't have to ask you.
It's true.
Okay.
True.
So yes, you're being influenced.
You are being influenced. That's true. Indirectly, by being in a relationship, you are influenced by the fact that the relationship exists.
Yes.
Or else
Yeah,
you should be. That's
exactly.
true. Okay, so check that box. Not independent. What's the next definition?
So this one kind of goes hand in hand with that. Not determined or influenced by someone or something else.
Okay. Very similar.
Yeah, very similar.
Okay.
I'm going to go off.
And I'm going to say that they're not independent for the fact that they are easily influenced by all of the other women and feminism around them.
Oh, absolutely. That's a good point.
That makes them even less independent than
absolutely
what they're proclaiming.
Absolutely. If that wasn't the case,
then they'd be able to think on their own and come up with their own observations instead of just regurgitating the rhetoric.
Well, it's not only that, but haven't we talked about before how the majority of advertising is geared towards women and women make up the majority of the consumer base?
It's a lot of it. Yep.
Yeah.
It's because they're easily influenced.
Yes.
Which makes them less independent.
Yes.
Check. Next.
So, if
you're stupid.
Yeah. Not relying on others for support, care, or funds, or self-supporting.
Okay.
So let's get into that. So let's say you're a dual income household. You're quote unquote independent from your man, right? You both make money.
They'd be paying all the bills.
You are splitting the bills.
Makes you dependent and cohabitating and coexisting
Yes!
and collaborating and not
Yes!
independent. How many more
Yes!
words do I have to come up with for you to understand that the definition that you're using is incorrect?
Is it correct? You split bills. You split bills. You split dinner. You guys
Yep.
you guys split hobbies. You're going to go on a vacation. Okay, I'm going to pay for this if you can pay for that.
Of course. I mean,
You're
there may be
independent.
a 1% woman out there that is taking care of the man and the bills and doing the whole thing, but that is not the majority in any realm, and it is not what most women want.
So I'm actually glad you said that, because that also kind of just goes into my next thing,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
So even if you are doing that, right, you can't say you're an independent person if you live with your partner or even just in a relationship with somebody, right? Because you're dependent on them for companionship, physical, emotional, whatever.
It's not just monetary.
Yes, it's not just monetary.
That's true.
Right?
That is very
Oh,
true.
well, I can go out and just get off on random people. You're still dependent on them for that companionship. Like, it's the same thing. You're just
That's true.
not putting a label on it, right? Like, and sure, you can live happily on your own, right? But if you currently aren't, saying that is not a valid argument for being independent. It's just not.
Right.
That's like saying, well, I could be a millionaire right now.
But you're not.
But I'm not.
Because why?
Yeah.
Because you chose not to? I mean, it doesn't, yeah.
So, and another thing, people, because I've been hit hard by this in relationships. People who act truly independent in relationships, that's not healthy. Like, it's miserable.
Yeah, it's miserable. You feel like a third wheel in your own relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like you're a nuisance to somebody,
Right.
right? I have never felt more alone than living with a woman who, quote unquote, was independent, right?
Mm.
I was paying all the fucking bills. But guess what?
She was still an independent woman.
No, yeah. And brother, I would this upsets me to this day.
Oh my God, man.
Like, we both had dogs because we were into like dog racing and things like that. She would come home before me. She would get home like an hour and a half before me because I'm working like 10 to 12 hour days, right? Just trying to keep the lights on. She would let her dogs out, and then mine would be sitting there until I got home for like 12, 13 hours, dying to go outside. I'm like, you've been sitting here for an hour and a half. You literally couldn't have done this for me.
She's independent.
Well, that's your dog. Or like, I would have, so anytime.
As soon as that argument comes up, you just slap the bills on her plate and just be like, these are your bills.
I did at one point, and then she started helping me pay.
I mean,
I was going to kick her out.
I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Like, I straight up told her, I was like,
eat a whole all 8 slices of a whole pizza in front of her. I'm like, this is my pizza.
Yeah. Oh, so one time,
Get your own damn pizza.
I forgot what happened. We were just talking about something, and we had a disagreement about. I can't remember if it was like, I don't even know, but she made a comment about something about the dog. I haven't seen any comments or anything come up.
Okay.
About like something about, well, that's my bed. And I'm like, okay, well, by that well, why is it your bed? Because I paid for it. Okay, by that logic, I pay the bills here. I put the down payment. I paid for this couch. I paid for this TV. Yeah. I paid for everything else in here.
Don't use it.
So everything else in here is mine? She didn't like that.
No, I'm sure she didn't.
I can't tell you how many times.
She's very selfish, it sounds like.
Insanely selfish. I can't tell you how many times I would be doing laundry, right? And it would be in the dryer and I would go to sleep or whatever. She would come home the next day. She would drop my shit in the middle of the floor so she could continue doing laundry. Just in a pile.
She just sounds like a bad lady. And
she's not a good person.
All in all. She had no idea how to relationship.
I had flaws and issues to deal with too, but I was damn good to her. Anytime she had laundry in there and it needed to be finished, I would move it to the dryer. I would take it out. I would fold it. I'd put it away in its proper place.
Men have a natural proclivity to take care of women. You know, I mean, it's like the same reason they didn't let women into the military for so many years.
Yeah.
It's not because they were physically inferior and things like that. Like most people, their gut reaction would be to think. But in reality, the main reason is it's an actual detriment to the entire battalion or infantry. Because if you go in as a man and your partner is a woman and you see her under fire, your natural instinct is going to kick in to save her or
That
help
was
her.
one of them. Yeah.
And you may be putting your own self at risk at that point,
You
or
wanna-
the entire unit.
You want to talk about the main reason why women weren't involved in warfare?
Go for it.
It's because in the olden days, whenever people would be like invaded and things like that, and if the military / the men would be pushed out and killed, all the women would get raped.
Well, that too,
And
of course.
it was to quote unquote.
Make it more civil, basically.
Well, it
Right.
was to quote unquote remove the opposition literally by impregnating them with like the next generation is from our country. But it's also to demoralize the men because it's like I've sullied your woman. I have
right.
whatever, right? So what do you have left to fight for, right?
It's true.
If men get captured and become
That's a great point.
POWs, if men get captured and become POWs, they're going to get tortured. They're going to beat us. You know, we're going to get waterboarded, starved,
Killed,
whatever.
Sure.
What do you think they're going to do to women?
Use them up.
Yes.
Number one, right there.
Yes. Because that is the worst thing you can do.
Sure.
Right?
Right.
So, I mean, but anyway, back to the point.
Yep.
If you truly act independent in a relationship, that is not a healthy relationship. You are a terrible partner because you
Yeah.
are doing nothing that benefits your partner. You are not thinking about them. You are not helping them get through life. You're not helping them pay bills. You're not helping them do anything. You are literally alone while cohabitating with somebody.
Yeah. So for all those people who like to comment and all these dummies in our last clips and things this week, is you're either not independent like you think you are, or you're a terrible partner. It's one of the two.
It's one of the two.
It's one of the two. There's no in between. You're not an independent woman. I strongly argue that you can only be independent while outside of a relationship.
I agree. 100%. And here's the thing.
Yep.
We are literally made to cohabitate and be dependent on each other. There's a reason.
Yeah.
There's a reason why breakups feel like worse than feel like real pain.
Yeah.
It's because humans are programmed to be with the pack and to be with people and to live in communities and to be with, a significant other.
That's true.
Maybe not in the way that we conventionally do it now,
No.
but still, like, it's designed to hurt you.
That's why
biologically.
That's why we have these feelings of
Yes.
cheating and betrayals and everything
Yes.
else, and love and attachment
Yes.
and companionship and all that good stuff. Of course, yeah. If you naturally go against that, like all these modern women are doing because of the ridiculous ideals of feminism, you are the cause of the degradation of dating right now,
Of society. Because
dating, all of it.
Because think about it.
You're all a bunch of fools. I'm just going to say it right now.
If women are truly independent in that way, what reason do we have to go off to war and fight and die for them? What reason do we have to continue the next generation or to even put them up and take care of them? Or
They're going to tell you don't need to. They'll do it.
Well,
I just seen a video, actually. I just seen a video somebody sent to me. It was a 50-something-year-old woman, just probably being funny, but it was very irritating and grating on the ears. But she was talking about if they start drafting to not send young women or all these other people to war, they were like, send these 50-year-old da-da-da-da-das, because our kids are already all grown and we're already angry and we don't get along with our husbands as it is, and we got nothing here anyway, so let us go. We'll take everybody out.
that had to be satire.
It was rough. It was hard just to listen to more than like a minute of it. It was bad.
It had to be satire. If old men have issues dealing with young men, old women absolutely cannot deal with young men
I just like, what good would you be?
in a combat setting. Yeah,
It
absolutely.
doesn't even make
Worthless.
sense.
Worthless. Cannon
Worthless.
fodder. You want to be cannon fodder? You want to be
Cannon fodder
distraction-
and a waste of
distraction?
rations, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're there just to take up space and waste supplies and a weapon.
Yeah.
So anyway,
but yeah, like, I mean, it just makes no sense. I had to get that off. It's so much cope. It's not even funny. Like,
it's a lot.
what do you have to tell yourself
lot.
so that you feel better about your life? And how far from reality are you willing to go to prove your point and to make yourself feel better?
Obviously, very far. That I've learned this from the internet this week. There's no possible way to get across or through to everybody. So any message that we spread is going to be falling on deaf ears.
Oh yeah.
Except for a very rare few,
Oh, yeah.
right? The other part of it is embracing the hate. That's something that I've struggled with in the past these last couple weeks with this as we've been gaining steam. Normally, throughout my entire life, I've been a pretty liked guy. There's not a whole lot of people that have problems with me, and usually, if they did, they were the issue. You know, I get along with mostly everybody. So to garner so much hate and arguments in a single week is a new feeling for me, to say the least. So I'm trying to wrap my head around it, because in a normal setting, I would be able to communicate with them and just have a conversation and talk down the argument or persuade them to our side or help them understand it, because that's what I'm good at. To be able to do that in 150 characters in a comment section is very difficult. And it's limiting what I can respond to everybody with, and it's limiting, which is why I said let's just wait for this episode to have this segment, because it's the only way to put it out there in a full context.
Oh, well, there's another way to piggyback off of what you just said.
Yeah.
All you haters out there who just want to say no or degrade us in the comments, and you think that means you've won or you got one over on us.
Yeah.
First off, you're a freaking moron. Okay. You sound like an illiterate loser because you can't articulate a logical argument.
No.
Okay. And two, I challenge you, come onto the podcast. Let's have a live discussion. Okay. You can remain completely anonymous.
Sure.
We don't have to have your name or, who you're.
I can bring them up on like TikTok. If they join the live, I can invite them as a guest on there, and they can.
Well, sure,
we can sit here and move the headphone and have a conversation with them.
Well, sure, we can do that, but we can, but then people would have some kind of outlet to get to them, right? I'm talking about like some kind of call in where
straight through their email. Yes, I can do that too.
Yes,
through our program.
So that way you can remain completely anonymous and you can articulate your point, and I will absolutely destroy you as soon as you start throwing out fallacies.
Yeah, I actually was going to pull this up real quick. So we have,
but they won't.
The comments pulled up.
They're idiots. People are idiots. So I love it. I think it's hilarious. It makes me laugh so much. I just
all right. So I'm just gonna run through a couple of these that stood out. One lady was claiming, through quotes, which I know she's wrong because it's not exactly what we said, but she's saying that it's impossible for women to be independent and in relationships, but men are forced to be independent in all times, saying that we said that. Which I didn't. But what I'm telling them is men are forced to be independent at a young age. We don't have a choice. We have to wake up at 18 through 21, figure out our lives, go to school, get a job, whatever it is that we're going to do. We have to learn to be independent immediately. We have no choice. We have to get a career. It's the only way we're going to attract women. One, we cannot be a sit-at-home brokey and be a fucking loser. It doesn't work. And it's also not going to be productive towards our life at all as an adult. Okay.
Yeah.
Women have a choice. You can do exactly what I just described, or you can find a man to take care of you, and a man will probably be willing to do that. There is no reality that I can wake up in the morning and find a woman to take care of me at 18 through 21 years old and just coast for the rest of my life. It's very, 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 very rare if that happens.
Even if you're not going to find a man, your family's going to take care of you. Like if you have a father in the home, he's a good dad. He's going to do what he can.
He's not going to be like, oh, get out.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Whereas it is that way for a man. Now, unless you're a piece of shit daughter and you just, rebel and you're a degenerate, then maybe you have problems with your family, right? But sure. But at the end of the day, most women, again, we're speaking majorities, have a choice. Do you want to be independent or not? And then going back to the original point, you're not independent after you get into a relationship. Then you become coexistent, cohabiting, basically just a couple, a group. That is literally the definition of a couple, is working together.
Mm-hmm.
Partnerships, right? This dumb fucking aunt, I'm going to say, right, said, my fiance and I both love to surprise and spoil each other. Love being independent.
Literally contradicted yourself.
You are a moron.
Absolute moron.
Fucking moron.
Absolute moron.
So it's so dumb.
That takes me to, I heard Andrew Wilson say this past week. He said, because he was looking back over him being on Piers Morgan's show. And how when he was talking to Tommy Lauren and stuff, he's like, he said, a lot of this stems from men, especially husbands with their wives, not telling them to just shut the fuck up. You sound crazy. Not, oh, maybe you should tone it down or you're being unreasonable.
Yeah, it's the PC culture. People are just too sensitive.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
You're wrong. You sound crazy. And if all you're going to do is sit here and say no and call me names and try to degrade us, you literally have no point to stand on. Like you're crazy. You're delusional.
This one chimed into that same thing. And this lady, let me tell you, chimed in a lot and had 0 points the entire time. I'm going to read this quote exactly the way it is so you can see how absurd it is, because it has nothing to do with the original point. You can be your own person and still be with someone. A man who expects a woman to completely give up her identity as a human when in a relationship has no good intentions for her mental well-being. First off,
okay, victim much?
Victim much. Second, nobody is telling anybody to not be their own person. Being independent and being your own person are vastly different things. Nobody's telling you to change your personality.
No.
Nobody's telling you to change your identity. Nobody's asking you to do any of these things. So all of the points you've just made in that comment were ridiculous and so off the original topic, it doesn't even make sense.
Oh, and newsflash, if you're in a healthier relationship and you want to be with this person for the rest of your life, part of your identity is being with that person.
This next one is fantastic.
Like,
this one, I'm gonna call Abigail Houston out specifically because you're a fucking moron. My long-term BF looking at engagement rings loves his independent girlfriend.
I saw that too. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're literally getting married.
First off, you moron. You moron. You are not independent if you are accepting rings from your boyfriend.
Why can't you pay for your ring? Aren't you independent?
Fucking idiot.
Aren't you independent?
Be independent and buy your own ring. Be independent and buy your own house. Be independent and leave him.
And pay for your
own bills. And do your own wedding.
Are you going to pay for your own
you
wedding?
You dummy.
Or are you guys going to split it? Are your parents going to help you?
You're not independent. Oh my God.
Contradiction after contradiction. This is so comical. It really is entertaining.
It doesn't even make sense.
It's entertaining.
Then a guy chimed in. I want a partner in life, not a dependent.
Brother, that literally doesn't mean... Okay, so...
This moron, let me tell you, I answered him and told him it's going to be very hard to find a woman who's okay with 50-50. Again, that's where I was going with it because he didn't want a dependent, right? He obviously wanted a girl to split bills with him.
Yeah.
He literally responded, the independent women are. So the independent woman is ready to go 50-50? That makes no sense.
No.
You're so stupid.
Bro, he's gonna be lonely and miserable or get taken advantage of, and it's gonna be hilarious to find out. I'm telling you, like, how many times have you heard my money is my money and your money is my money?
I actually responded with that. I said, no, they aren't though. Most of them still want you to pay, and said that exact quote.
Like, if women were truly okay with going 50-50 in the majority of circumstances, then the majority of women would be with average guys because they make roughly the same amount of money. But no, they want men who make more money than them. Why would you need to be with somebody who makes more money than you?
He said, so we're going on generalizations here. Cool. Most men are assholes who only want sex. I said,
that has to be a woman.
Most men do only want sex.
Bro,
most modern women are too insufferable to be in a relationship with.
That has to be a woman.
Then he said, I'm projecting my own insecurities.
Which is obviously he's just trolling, but like, and
then a lady said, clearly you hate women. Have you tried dating men?
To you?
I just hate stupid women like you.
Stupid women.
Stupid women.
Like when I sit here and he tries to tell, you need to entertain these women. No. Fuck these women. If you are stupid and you have anything going, it's not worth me dealing with.
Demonetized.
Why would I want to deal with that shit? This is what I'm talking about. This is why I'm fine being picky and choosy and not just entertaining anyone who fucking wants anything to do with me.
This one
it's
said,
not fucking worth
this
it.
one said that I had no response, and they said when women say they're independent, it means they have a life outside of their relationship, and the sun doesn't rise and set on their boyfriend.
No, it effing doesn't. You lose. You literally don't know how to define the word.
No, you have no idea. It doesn't even make sense.
Oh, but that's what I learned in my feminist studies. Some education. Somebody wasted money on you.
Now the guy says this makes no sense. Women want to be with independent men, and those men want relationships too. Yes, of course they want to be with independent men because they don't want to be independent.
Yeah, they want.
That's
someone else
literally
to
the
pay
whole
for their
point,
shit.
dummy.
Yeah, that's
The
literally
women
the whole
don't want to
point.
be independent in reality.
Literally the whole point.
They think they're still independent after the fact.
Literally, yeah, it's literally the whole point. Like it. You know,
I literally told them there's no such thing as an independent man. All men have no choice but to become independent until they're in a relationship, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah,
But I
for
mean,
real.
that should go without saying. I shouldn't have to fucking
like you have
make
to
it blatantly obvious.
You have to do something. You have to make something of yourself most of the time to find a quality woman. And if not, then you're rare, right?
Then this dumb lady said,
Or she's
so
rare.
if all men are independent, how come it doesn't make sense for a woman to be? I said, let's start over. A woman can be independent, but it is not attractive in a relationship. It's a natural masculine trait. All that was said is that if a woman chooses to be independent, she may end up with a beta male, which is most likely not her first choice. The man that's handsome, charming, rich, etc., is not looking for an independent woman archetype.
Yeah.
Nobody responded to that one.
Of course.
That's the end of the argument.
Of course. I want Elon Musk to.
Here's a good one. Just two men intimidated by independent women.
Oh God, that's so funny. I love hearing that. It's just so much cope. It just like anytime a woman uses that, well, he's just intimidated or this, that, and the other. Like,
Imagine pretending to be a top tier man crying because women have independent thoughts and don't need you.
okay, but if your independent thoughts are like actual retardation,
It's not independent thoughts if you're literally going against the definition of a word. You're just stupid.
well, not only that, but they're
You're
like
going against.
they're an echo chamber of the feminist movement. Like
Doesn't make any sense.
it's not independent thoughts. You're literally part of the hive mind.
That's true. You're not.
chirping-
Yeah. If you were independent, you'd come up with your own thoughts instead of just
it's just-
spitting out rhetoric.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you're just a parakeet chirping what you hear online. So stupid. I want Elon Musk
Oh.
to buy out TikTok as well and start managing that because what did irritate me this week about the comments
Mhm.
is that people were able to degrade and slander us and their comments stayed up. But every time we tried to come back at them, it got taken down.
I got 2 of mine denied and I
Me
got a
too.
warning.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You're gonna
Got a
let
warning.
these
I just stopped responding because
You're-
I couldn't put anything.
I'm like, you're gonna let these losers
Yeah.
freaking try to tell us all like degrade us, call us names, all this stupid shit. But then when we try to crack back at them, we're the ones who are at fault.
You're gonna love this one.
Go fuck yourself.
It's sad that you feel threatened by a woman with her own opinions and can take care of herself. These women you claim are at the bottom of the dating pool have men that are actual men. Real men aren't threatened by a woman who can think for herself. Real men want a partner. Sounds like you need to shadow a few. I have one that could teach you a few things.
Okay, so first off, people wouldn't be single at an alarming rate these days if that were the case. One.
Correct.
Two, men will entertain women like that.
Yep.
It happens all the time, which is why you
For some of this.
Yeah, which is why you fucking dumbasses think that all men are shit, but it's just the men that you're paying attention to, they just hit it, smash and pass because guess what? You're not worth being in a relationship with.
This makes no sense. Okay, so I respond to her and said, all I'm saying is independence is a choice, but a real man won't want it. Right?
Yeah.
Going back to what I was saying.
Yeah.
She responded with, that means that he's not independent either. Why? So why would, I'm trying to explain this, understand this logic. Why would me choosing a woman who is delusional and thinks she's independent but still wants resources from me, if I don't choose her, that makes me not independent?
Or wanting to be with a woman makes us not like we're
I
literally the
lost.
argument was literally men have to be independent until they can find someone to be in a relationship with, right? Like independence is something that you have to succeed at. You have to, a lot of times, you don't have help making money unless it comes from family, right? You don't have help going to school. You don't have help making money. You have to do it on your own. There's a reason why student loans are such an issue these days, right? Is because people have to do this crap on their own. And if men have to make something of themselves on their own before women will pay attention to them, then what we're saying is true until they get into a relationship, which was literally the whole point.
Independent means you can survive on your own. Two people who can survive on their own can be in a relationship together.
And you're no longer independent.
I said, that's the most redundant thing that I've heard all year. You literally just said on their own and then together in the next thought.
So dumb.
What the fuck?
People are so dumb.
I said, some of you are more worried about how you feel versus facts.
Yeah, I saw that. I thought it was great.
Come on,
I liked that one.
This is so embarrassing for him. It hurts to watch.
Again, like you just have nothing to contribute to the conversation.
Are these men in long-term healthy relationships? I mean, a long-term married woman, both of us working independently and together, both are very happy. This is terrible advice. That makes no sense. How do you work independently and together, you fucking idiot?
Yeah, you're literally contradicting yourself. Let's move
it's like
on, man.
It's daytime and nighttime at the same time.
It's the same shit. Every comment you go through, it's the same shit. There's just people contradicting themselves, and we kind of already hit it on the head.
It's crazy. Okay, we're going to jump ahead. So let's go into, since we're already in the spicy zone, women, makeup, having surgeries. I've heard this back and forth. Are they for men or are they for the woman? Do you want to start before I
would like to
tear this one up? Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
please.
so I would say that it's more for women. Similarly to how like men size each other up and will compare strength or like combat ability, you know, if you're in that setting kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Most men want women to be as natural as possible, right? Most men would agree they don't want you to cake on a lot of makeup. They would not wife up a woman, most likely would not wife up a woman who has tons of plastic surgery or a BBL. Like it's artificial enhancements and caked on makeup, like they may seem appealing, but almost in a fantasy, right? Men like to be able to look at a woman and picture, at least if they want to entertain her long term, right, or marry her. Men, it's an attraction trigger for men to be able to look at that woman and kind of think about what their kids might look like, right, or know what their kids are getting from this woman.
I mean, men are attracted
physically
to beauty, obviously. That's not. But all we're doing is covering the beauty with more beauty.
So
beauty, a false narrative.
So let me give you a.
But the point is it? Are they doing it for themselves or are they doing it for men?
They're doing it more for themselves than they are for men, right? Absolutely more for themselves than they are for men, because a lot of this shit started to become serialized and became, I would say, like more widespread or more normal to get like Botox and BBLs and plastic surgery and shit like this during the whole women empowerment movement. Okay,
I'm going to disagree with you.
Well, that's fine. Back on the point.
But go ahead.
Back on the point about like men prefer more natural women, right?
Yep.
So
that I agree with.
There was an Aussie woman who I think she was Aussie. She went on social media and she was talking about how like she found out that her man was like liking these pictures of these Insta models who like had BBLs and plastic surgery and all the shit. So she went and got a BBL and he left her ass. And all of the men, it went viral. She had millions of views, hundreds of thousands of men in the comments saying, we want the mother of our children to be natural. Like you looked good before and you messed it up. He liked you as you were before. Like that's a fantasy. That's not something that like we shoot for. Right. Look at what's her name? I wrote it down. Erin Moriarty. She played Starlight in The Boys, the blonde.
I didn't see the show.
Okay, well, very wholesome looking girl next door vibes, like super attractive in the first few seasons. And then later on, she got all this Botox and plastic surgery and
changed her whole appearance.
Fucked her face up.
Oh, man.
She got ridiculed, like, bring back the old Starlight, you know. They're like, oh, this is the Walmart version now. And like all this kind of shit. Like, and there's
no going back.
No. And she genuinely does not look better, but she probably thinks she does. And it's pressure from other women and / society.
Now she's going to go do it again.
Shit. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
now she sees the comments. And
Yeah.
she's like, oh shit.
But according to the feedback she got, the majority of men do not like that shit, right? So like I that's why I genuinely think it's more for women.
I see where you're going with it. But here's my initial. Let me counter argue before I give you my point. Did she originally do it for herself, or did she do it for men, thinking that it would be something they liked?
Women always say they do it for themselves. They're not really doing it for themselves. They're doing it
That's
to
my
either impress other women or they're doing it to impress men.
That's my point.
And I
It's for the
genuinely
attention.
and I genuinely think that women will give other women bad advice.
Mhm.
Not all the time, but
To sabotage them.
yes, and not just to sabotage them, but women all the time they think they know what men want, and it's just
They don't.
you listen to what they say, and it's just so far from what men
Yeah,
actually want. It's
that's
not even
true.
funny, right?
That's
So
true.
I think it's more of that, where she was influenced by other women, by
Thinking
media,
that they knew.
thinking yes,
That's probably what
And
it
all
is.
she
Media
did
in
was-
Hollywood for somebody like that as an actress.
yeah, and all she did was completely ruin like her
beauty, natural beauty.
Yeah,
So I agree with most of that part, because it's obviously they do it for attention. At the end of the day, no woman is getting plastic surgery done. They're not doing their makeup just to sit at home. It's retarded. It doesn't make any fucking sense. They're not going to just go sit there and they're going to stare at themselves at the mirror for 3 hours. It doesn't happen. It's just not what they do. Okay. They may do that once in a while to practice their makeup for the next time they're going out, but they're not going to fucking do that all the time just to sit at home and not do anything. They're not getting ass implants. They're not getting tit implants so that people don't look at them.
right.
You know what I mean? They want people to look at them, want
Well,
to
that's what
take
I'm saying.
pictures of them,
They're
get the
not doing
attention.
it for themselves.
No. And at the end of the day, if you are the woman who says that you're doing it for yourself, here's my counter argument. Does that not make you extremely narcissistic
Yes.
to enhance your own physical features and wear makeup just so that you can look better for yourself and you're the only one looking at you? That's literally almost the definition of narcissism.
Mm-hmm.
So either way, you either accept the fact that you're putting on makeup and you're dressing provocatively and all these other things that you do to get attention, or you admit that you're the most narcissistic person in the land.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Those are your only two options. So, I mean, pick the lesser of two evils, but stop saying you're doing it for yourself, because that's ridiculous. And honestly, if you are doing it for yourself and that's truly what you believe, then you have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that easy. You have an issue, you should probably get help, because nobody should be that into themselves. Simple. That's my take on it. I just
The counter argument I hear all the time is, "Oh, well, men, you don't think men do it too? Men go to the gym for themselves?" I'm like, "No, men
we go to
would-
get bitches, bro.
Yeah,
What are you
that's the whole
talking about?
point.
We don't do it for ourselves.
Leading into that,
Yeah, what are you too
Someone-
stupid?
someone tried to tell me,
Other than health benefits of being like not a slob and
Yeah.
dying at a young
Yeah.
age, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's part of it. But other than that,
a woman tried to tell me that me wearing height boosting insoles in my shoes when I go out is not the same as a woman wearing makeup. I'm like, how? How is it not? I
same
said,
thing.
I said, makeup is used to enhance your natural given features that you cannot change otherwise. I said, my height is predetermined.
Yeah, it's true. The same thing.
I'm literally doing the same thing.
You're doing the same thing.
It's just not. I'm like, okay, good argument.
Good argument. Is it because one's $1 billion industry and the other one is not really heard of?
I guess.
That's the only argument I can understand. is
Even
that
then,
one is
even
widely
then,
accepted and one's not.
even then,
That's it.
but
But
Yeah.
it's not hurting anybody.
no.
And so it's irrelevant. Did you have anything else on this topic before we jump past it?
Nope.
Okay. Let's get into the last thing. So the 30, 60, 90 day rule of dating. Where should you be in dating with somebody? We'll get back into dating topics within 1 month, 2 months, and 3 months. What does that look like? Step by step of the process, kind of. So do you have anything you want to say on it before I start just kind of rambling?
No, I think you should go.
Okay. So 30, 60, 90 rule. I've gotten this request because this is how some people found us last week, by searching this exact query in the search results. And it was a pretty high percentage of people that were searching for this kind of topic. So I was like, let me touch on it and see where it goes. Basically, what I would say is 30 days, when we start something like this, you're going to be... Initially, it's the feel out process the 30 days. It's the, do I want to continue with this person? Let me get to know them. Let me see what baggage people have. Let me see what their personality is. Make sure they're not a crazy person or a serial killer. It's the interview phase. That first 30 days, I would say. You're going on dates. You're getting to hang out with each other during, more frequent occasions. Maybe if things start to ramp up, you may have sex for the first time during the first 30 days, right? So it's the initial conjoining, I'd say, phase. That one's pretty self-explanatory. I really shouldn't have to go into too much details with that one because it's pretty easy to understand what that phase looks like for most people. I'm sure everybody's been there, whether you phase out after that point or you don't get further. Most people have tried to date at some point in their lives, or so 60 days. Where do you go in 60 days? Within 60 days, you're starting to ramp up the relationship. This is where you start to build trust with the other person. You may start to experience holidays together, depending on what time of the year you're, finding each other and things like that. So that could entail meeting the family. That could be starting to introduce children if they're involved. That could be hanging out more regularly, or starting to label the actual relationship. That's kind of what happens in the next 60 days. So within 60 days, you should start to figure out, is this my boyfriend? Is this my girlfriend? Are we going a little more serious? Are we going to be exclusive? That kind of thing. By 90 days is the big one for me personally. I think by 90 days, that final third month is when you start trying to correct bad behaviors. So this is by the time where you kind of trust each other. You've been around each other enough. You're probably sleeping over each other's houses and things like that. Obviously, depending on your age, and if you're a young man and you don't have a place of your own, that might not be the issue. But if as an adult, this is the time where you're going to start seeing each other a lot more regularly, waking up together, having breakfast, showers, all sorts of things that are normal features of life, So during that time, you're going to be not only experiencing the good, but you may also experience the bad, because if you are staying in somebody's house, you can see their behaviors of how they keep their home or their apartment. Are they clean? Are they messy? Do they do the dishes often? Are they washing their clothes? Are they throwing them in a pile on the corner? Are they all sorts of different bad behaviors that you may start to correct, right? And this will go for both sides. So this will be more going out with the man and woman. So if you've seen something that was a bad behavior in month 1 or 2 from your lady, whether she was being too flirtatious or she's talking to other men when you're going out or something like that, something that you don't like, this would be the time to start bringing it up and saying, hey, I really don't like when you do something like that. Maybe now you should hold it back a little bit, or have that conversation and try to not make it an argument. And we've talked about that in the past and one of the earlier episodes about how to go about that conversation. And that can be something we touch on in the future if people care to hear more about that stuff. But that would be my general 30, 60, 90 rules for dating. Beyond that point, it gets a little more involved and serious because people start to jump into all sorts of things like 6-month mark and 1-year mark and things of that nature. So, did you have anything to piggyback questions about it or anything?
No, not really. You kind of,
Pretty nailed it, right?
Yeah.
So, that's kind of it for that kind of stuff. I don't want to dive too into it. I do greatly appreciate the people that come in and comment and have positive things to say. Let's put that out there. As far as you haters, go ahead, keep fucking hating. I'm just going to keep responding and telling you you're retarded.
Yep.
You probably took the COVID jab one too many times.
But if you did like the episode, like, subscribe, let us know in the comments what you like, what you'd rather hear more about.
I know.
If you guys are looking for any kind of improvement in your life, you guys specifically, we'll entertain women as well. If you need any assistance, in your dating life, we can set up sessions with this guy. Mm-hmm. All of the links to initiate any kind of life coaching or dating coaching is going to be in the Linktree description, or the Linktree link in the description. Yes. If you guys need help with dating, I'm telling you, there are very few men that I can think of in my life that can do what this man can do. It sometimes is magic. It sometimes it seriously feels like witchcraft, and some of it is his dashingly good Italian heritage. Some of
like
it is
3%.
his height.
Yeah.
But no, this man knows how to talk. He knows how to move, and he will help you start approaching women. He will help you get a girlfriend, or whatever your goals are with dating.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm here for, whether you take it or not. I honestly, this is never going to happen. I don't know if it's going to make it into a clip and people will ever see it, but I'm curious to actually attempt to help some of you women. And
Yes,
if you would
I
actually
love
listen
actually.
to what I have to say. And
Yeah.
honestly, I'll do it for free, just for the simple fact that as a case study for the dynamic of the hate that we're getting these days,
I want in on this.
I would like to talk to you and just have a full, plain discussion. No anger or anything involved or anything. Just a straight discussion and try to make you understand and also hear your points and tell you probably why they're incorrect if you're on that side of the feminist thought process. At least as far as dating goes.
If you're a woman with a decent head on your shoulders and you would like dating advice and to find out kind of what men like or how to approach men without looking too available or too promiscuous, I would love to entertain that and to help you guys out. So yeah, let us know. Send us a DM, drop a comment.
Absolutely.
We can get in touch.
Get in touch. Cool.
Step in the room, I set the vibe. Mic in my hand, I let it ride. Words so sharp, they cut the air. Confidence dripping heavy, I don't care. Speak like the boss on every line. Charisma blazing like sun in the sky. Undeniable moves, they can't resist. This podcast got you feeling like you exist. Picking up the flow like I pick up the beat. Headphones on, I'm bringing that heat. Girl next door, yeah, caught her eye. She smiles back like, why even try? Speak like the boss on every line. Charisma blazing like sun in the sky. Undeniable moves, they can't resist. This podcast got you feeling like you exist. Grab the mic, it's a whole new game. Show 'em so loud, it drowns the shame. Words like magnets pulling the crowd. Speak like a king, make your mama proud. The power's in how I twist these lines. Every syllable, a ladder I climb. The world's mine when I talk my talk. Swagger so heavy when I walk my walk. Speak like the boss on every line. On every line. Charisma blazing like sun in the sky. Undeniable